everybody. Welcome to Evening TV and Noah Radio. We've been talking about Mother's Day and narcissistic mother, and I'm going to link here a video that I did with some clips of some just really horrendous narcissistic mothering, and that is just basically an example of exactly what not to do if you're trying to raise a person with compassion. And so what I titled that video was something like how to raise a sociopath, which is precisely what that kind of style of parenting has done. As that young woman came here and was my son's girlfriend and was completely cut off from her own feelings, her own authenticity. She truly lacked compassion and lacked empathy. Primary thing is that if you parent if you use guilt and blame in your parenting style, that is absolutely contradictory to instilling compassion and empathy. And so after years and years of that, after a whole childhood of that, you end up with an 18-year-old predator, which is what she is. And she's going to end up having a slew of people that feel victimized just like we did. But what it looks like when you have, say, a 4-year-old is it will look more like, say, a friend gets hurt on the playground. And instead of going over and trying to soothe them, they'll be the one that's running in to tell the teacher who did it, or making sure that the teacher knows that they didn't do it. That's their main concern. Being concerned for the child's welfare and well-being is not their primary concern. Their concern is making sure that they don't get blamed. That's a child that comes from a punitive household, a place where blame and shaming and guilt is prevalent and compassion is not being modeled and not being valued. Of course, the most important thing you can do if you want to raise compassionate kids, and I'm proud to say that I did do that, in a world where it seems to me there is not nearly enough compassion and empathy, not nearly enough. It's been probably the saddest thing of my life is how little has been shown to me, and because of the family that I was raised in and because of the way that I learned to be and the people that I ended up surrounding myself with, I suppose. I mean, I don't know if other people are experiencing a lot more compassion than I have, but my sons and I really haven't experienced a lot of compassion at all. And I believe that we are really compassionate people. And the main way that you do that is that you model it, You model it. You when your child is little, you soothe them when they cry. You're a person that gets fussy. I was never one of these people that made a big deal out of my kids getting hurt. I didn't do that at all. But when a child has big emotions, to acknowledge them and give them a place to have their emotions safely. You look sad. Are you feeling sad? And you can be sad with me. You can be angry with me. We can talk about it. I can hold you. You don't have to talk, but you don't have to be alone with it either. And letting them know that it's okay to have all their emotions and that they don't have to feel bad about it. They don't have to be alone with it. Never you go to your room until you can act appropriately. Once you get them through their emotion and calm down, then you can talk about more appropriate behavior. But we're talking about little kids and giving them a place to feel their feelings. And empathy is a natural impulse that we have as human beings. And I talked about self-compassion. I talked about soothing yourself with touch. Well, we also have that. Obviously, we have that with each other. And being in the proximity of another person and having soothing touch, it has a chemical reaction on our bodies, and it will help soothe us. And so if you are instilling this in your child and you calm them, you help soothe them, and you have warmth, affection in your home, that's just also healthy. And these seem like really basic things, but it doesn't seem that they are. It seems that as the narcissism is rising and compassion and empathy are falling, we have lost something somewhere. And so it seems like it's time to kind of get back to some really basic things like this. And there's so many misconceptions about, whether something's masculine or feminine. Here I have, very masculine sons who are really empathic. And then, this girl who's super fussy, girly girl who doesn't have any empathy or compassion at all. So it's not about masculine, feminine. It's not about anything like that. It's really about being other-centered and versus self-centered and self-focused. And, what kind of a world are we going to live in? And I think one of the blessings that's going to come about from even Trump being in office is going to get all of us to really look at these things. He's really bringing it up into everyone's face. These things that maybe those of us that were talking about narcissistic abuse already, this is going to bring these topics that we were talking about up into the mainstream conversation. And I hope that it's going to do something for getting our values back in line. But, raising compassionate kids, what you don't want to do is you don't want to do what that mother was doing with all of her guilt tripping, her hyper-emotionalism, her blaming, her complete and total self-absorption. Just everything she was doing was completely wrong for trying to get any real she was acting like she wanted to get some compassion from her daughter, but her daughter was obviously completely cut off from her own feelings by this point at 18 years old, of a lifetime of that kind of hysteria and disingenuous blaming behavior. It was just disgusting. It was just so hard to listen to for me. There's all kinds of different ways that people can not show compassion. I didn't have that kind of hysterical kind of experience, but I didn't have super compassionate parents at all either. I had the narcissistic parents, but I did have a grandmother and a grandfather that were compassionate and were empathic, and that really enjoyed children and really enjoyed time with me and listened to me. And when I was with them, I came first. My brother and I came first. They felt like it was a huge honor to have grandchildren and to, that was their favorite thing to do. And after we were raised, they loved the neighborhood kids. I mean, they loved children, and so it really was a joy for them. And it wasn't only them. They were the primary ones, but I also had a lady lived across the street, a neighbor woman, who just the time I spent with her and her family, their family, just get little bits everywhere. Just every little bits you can piece together the love. Somehow that saved me, and that made it so that I did not turn into the model that I had, which was a narcissistic model. I can't explain why my mother, who was raised by the woman who showed me the most compassion that I had, why she turned out to not be compassionate herself. I can't explain that. But as a child, there were some of the older fashioned values and things that I had with my aunts and cousins that were the generation older. There was compassion and empathy there that seemed to be lacking by the time I had children, and because my children's extended family did not have that, and they really suffered because of it. So modeling kindness is just absolutely huge, and offering a safe place to have emotions and not getting away from blaming and guilt. Those are the best ways to teach compassion to your kids. Congratulations to those of you who've done it. If you have any other tips and ideas, if you have those are my 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you have a 5, 6, or 7, please list them below. And talk to me about what your experiences are with raising compassionate kids, and any Mother's Day wishes that you have for, any special things anybody's doing. Just write all that stuff down below, and I will talk with y'all later. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.